Call the meeting to order.
Mrs. Krimpaski? Yes. Mrs. Mock? Mr. Porter? Yes. Dr. Ritchie? Yes. Mr. Sherwood?
Yes. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Vision and mission statement of the Austintown Schools. The Austintown Local School District is a united community with a proud legacy and a progressive approach to education. We provide an inspiring education that strengthens and prepares our students for unlimited future opportunities.
Thank you. Item number 5 for building reports. We'll start with AES. Mrs. Dorbish.
Good evening, everyone. This is the happenings at AES. Our PTA Falcons Outreach Program has collected $5,771 for our needy Falcon families. This is about $771 over their expected goal. We were able to capture 10 YSU students that will be completing their student teaching at AES. This will be in grades K through 2, including special education. A big shout out to Mrs. Vickers and the AMS staff for donating a substantial amount of money to Mrs. Tokar, one of our teachers that is battling breast cancer. Thank you. AMS also has their reading buddies that are continuing to come over. The students come over once a week to read to our kindergarten students. And finally, we are excited this week to be starting Club Invention. This will be with some of our second grade students. Mrs. Thompson, our first grade teacher, will be heading the club. Students will be participating in STEM activities that encourage problem solving and imagination. Thank you.
Thank you. From AIS, Mr. Papagallo.
Just want to wish everyone happy holidays. I know Thanksgiving's coming up, and there's a lot to be thankful for. I'm very fortunate and very thankful that I'm a part of the Austintown Local Schools. Very just blessed to have such great teachers to work with. Students, such as Chloe in the back, thank you. The students here are amazing. Put a smile on my face every day. We just finished up COGAT testing today. Last week we held a fun glow run. It was a fundraiser where students raised pledges, and they ran in our gym. And they had like the lights out and glow in the dark, and they had music. It was through the Boosterthon organization. They had daily meetings where they taught humility, honesty, gratitude, generosity, and kindness, which goes a long way with our school. We started an AIS squad. And what this squad does is members do various jobs throughout the building. We have positive passers. Friday, students passed out little quotes to the students exiting the building. Be the eye and kind. Be a pineapple. Be tall. Wear a crown. And sweet on the inside. Be awesome. Be amazing. Be you. These are quotes, that a little piece of paper that were given out to everyone exiting the building. We have morning greeters. We have High Five Fridays. We have the Tidy Type, where they go around and clean up the building. Papers off the floor. And we started a recycling program called Recycling Roundups, where we have paper and can recyclers. We had the Veterans Day Assembly last week. The course did an absolute amazing job. Shout out to Mr. Salvatore Bolin. Our guest speaker was unable to make it, and at the last minute he volunteered to say a few words, and the speech that he gave was very powerful and very meaningful, and it was much appreciated. We just had bingo night last Friday. I had the opportunity to call numbers, and I fell in love with bingo calling. It was a lot of fun. The parents and kids had a blast. AAS started, it's called This Week at AIS. It's a weekly communication on what's going on in the building. We put it out on the Austintown website, and we also send it via one-call text message, so the parents get it right on their phone. You click the link, and it just explains things going on in the building. So it's like a weekly communication, which I think is very awesome. We got conference night coming up, 3:15 to 9:15 next week, and just looking forward to a nice long Thanksgiving break. Thank you.
From Austintown Middle School, Robin Vickers.
Good evening, everyone. At Austintown Middle School, we just had our awards assembly last week. We gave away 667 certificates to our students. And those were for academic achievements and perfect attendance. So, huge number there. I'd like to thank our PTA who put together a great sports recognition program the other night and a school dance last Friday where we had hundreds of children in the cafeteria. Our Toys for Tots campaign is underway. Right now we have managed to actually overflow one of our boxes in the main office for Toys for Tots. I'd like to fill 2 more, that's our goal, so we are working on that. We have multiple Christmas concerts coming up, so please check out our website. They start December 3rd, our first one, so I'd love to see people there. Finally, I'd like to thank Mr. James Skoke. He came to our school last week and shared his story in the Marine Corps with 3 assemblies, shared his very personal tale with our students and made a really great impression with them. So I want to thank him for that. And that's it for Austintown Middle School.
And from Fitch High School, Mr. Brian Race.
Good evening, board members, those in attendance, and a happy early Thanksgiving to everyone. We've had a busy month at Fitch High School. Just last week we had the annual Veterans Day Assembly, which I'm sure everyone knows is a big tradition here in Austintown. We were fortunate to have Sergeant Kimberly McGinnis as our keynote speaker. She's a local recruiter. She's also a combat veteran, and she really had some very real, inspiring words that I think really resonated with the students, and it was a very enjoyable, very moving program, and it's something that of course we're going to continue with next year. Our students continue to be active in a lot of different activities. We have the District 5 Ohio Music Education Association Honors Band, several students participating in that. We have the YSU Math Fest recently, several students participating in that. We have the Community Connectors program. Students traveled to Kent State recently, had a chance to look at some of the different programs on campus and learn about some possible medical careers. So great way to kind of connect what they're doing in the class with real world experience, possible future career pathways as well. Speaking of career pathways, we did what's called the Work Keys testing this week. This is one of the pathways for alternative graduation. We had about 20 kids who took that test on Monday, and pleased to say that every single one of them passed. So they're now on track for graduation. We have student athletes signing a lot of letters of intent to continue playing at college, a lot of them with YSU, sports such as soccer, sports such as track. Student is going to be signing with Tiffin as well in the next few days. Speaking of sports, it seems a little too soon to say this word, but we are starting winter sports this week. All those seasons will be kicking off. Want to put a plug in also for our speech team. They've had a top 3 finish at every tournament so far this year, including 2 first place finishes. Our home tournament is this weekend. It'll be hosted at the middle school and at the high school. And we're also in the process of putting a bid in to host the 2021 Ohio State Speech Finals here in Austintown. We have our own series of musical concerts coming up. We'll have a choir on December 8th. We'll have the orchestra on the 11th, band on the 15th, and jazz on the 19th. So hopefully everyone will be able to attend one or more of those. And as we look ahead into December, we have some other things going on. We have the fall air testing will occur. We have the No Shave November shave off for prostate cancer. And we have the staff student volleyball game right before Christmas break.
Item number 6, Ms. Mraz for a transportation update.
Good evening. We started out the school, as usual, a little crazy, which is the case every year at the new year. We did our T1 report in October, which is a report that goes out to the state with a lot of calculations and numbers that our drivers put together. Our numbers this year were down a little bit, which kind of go pretty evenly with the decrease in attendance for the year. We do transport this year almost 2,500 students on a daily average, so that is a lot of students. We did cut back some buses this year, so with the number decrease, we do run 42 routes every day to transport those kids. We are looking at hiring new drivers, so if anybody's interested. We do have a few in training, and we just hired 4 new drivers, so welcome them to the district. I want to give a shout out to one of our drivers, Dane Carter. He participated for the 3rd year in the Northeast Ohio Regional School Bus Rodeo, and he placed within the top 10% in Northeast Ohio District. It's a rodeo put on, obviously, by the state, where the participants are required to do a 100-question written test to start with, and then they move into some maneuverabilities, kind of like an obstacle course type situation. So congratulations to him for how well he did with that. They're changing it to April next year, so we're hoping for more participants since the time change will be better for that. Back in October, we had School Bus Safety Week in the state of Ohio. A lot of our buses were followed by State Highway Patrol on a regular basis. We did not receive any violations within our district. However, State Highway Patrol did an excellent job, and there were approximately 10 red light violations caught by State Highway Patrol just within that week. So that is a huge safety issue within our district, with cars running the school buses red lights. So thank you to State Highway Patrol for helping make our district a little safer. We had school bus evacuations that week as well. They went over fairly well with what is asked of us to do with so many kids. It is a process that a lot of people don't realize takes place actually every day. We do the actual evacuation process that day, but the drivers are teaching the students every day proper evacuation procedures in case of an emergency. They talk about it all the time with them, where the emergency equipment is, where the emergency exits are, what to do if there's an emergency, how to set the parking brake in case something happens to the driver. So it is an ongoing thing all through the year, and I think they did an excellent job at it this year. There are some requirements coming down from the state for next year, so there'll be some changes. Biggest one will be bus drivers are not allowed to leave their seat during that evacuation process. So in order to teach those students, we're going to be looking for some help. We're hoping to maybe team up with the PTA members to see if they can assist us just to keep the kids safe and make it go smoothly for next year. So a lot of changes coming from the state on that. We're looking forward to Thanksgiving and Christmas break coming pretty soon. We have our Christmas party started in the plannings. We are doing a collection this year we find ourselves actually doing collections several times a year for different organizations. We are collecting this year for Sleep in Heavenly Peace. We are collecting bedding and cash donations for them to give to children in the community who don't have beds. The organization builds beds, and we donate beds with complete bedding. So that's what we've chosen for our fundraiser within our department this year. So happy Thanksgiving, and if I don't see you, Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Mr. President, I'd make a motion to remove item number 8 permanently for today and in moving forward.
Mrs. Krimpaski?
Yes.
Dr. Ritchie? Mrs. Mock? Mr. Porter? Mr. Sherwood?
Just to be clear on that, that's just specific to an agenda item. You're still going to have public comments as needed throughout the future. It'll just be at the end of the agenda, not the beginning.
So we'll just replace the other one for this.
Okay. Okay. Item number 9. Well, item number 7, I guess. Upon the recommendation of the treasurer, approve the agenda for the November 19th, 2019 Board of Education regular November session.
So moved. Second.
Take the vote.
Mrs. Krimpaski?
Yes.
Mrs. Mock? Mr. Porter? Dr. Ritchie? Mr. Sherwood?
Yes. Item 9, upon the recommendation of the treasurer, approve the following items A through O by consent action. Second. Take the vote.
Mrs. Krimpaski?
Yes.
Mr. Sherwood?
Yes.
Mrs. Mock?
Yes.
Mr. Porter? Dr. Ritchie?
Item 10, upon the recommendation of the treasurer, approve a one-time $100 stipend for the following outside instructors who provided an introduction of various band instruments to students at Austintown Intermediate School. Second. Take the vote.
Mrs. Mock?
Yes.
Mr. Sherwood?
Yes.
Mrs. Krimpaski?
Yes.
Mr. Porter? Dr. Ritchie?
Item 11, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the following personnel items A through C by consent action.
Second.
Take the vote.
Mrs. Krimpaski?
Yes.
Mrs. Mock?
Yes.
Mr. Porter? Dr. Ritchie? Mr. Sherwood?
Yes. Item 12, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the following 7 AEA supplemental memorandums of understanding by and between the Austintown Board of Education and the Austintown Education Association, OEA, NEA. Whereas the board and the association believe it to be mutually advantageous to temporarily modify the agreement as follows. These MOUs will remain in effect for the 2019-20 school year, and the necessity for the split shall be revisited for need prior to the start of the 2021 school year.
As listed below. Second.
Dr. Ritchie? Mrs. Mock?
Yes.
Mrs. Krimpaski? Mr. Porter? Mr. Sherwood?
Yes. Item 13, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the MOU by and between the Austintown Board of Education and the Austintown Education Association, OEA, NEA, whereas the AEA will be allowed to create a sick bank for its members to contribute to and use as needed per the sick bank criteria. The AEA is to provide a list to the treasurer of the days donated by its members and will be responsible to keep track of donated auditing purposes. This MOU will remain in effect for the 2019-20 school year. The necessity for the AEA sick bank shall be revisited for need prior to the start of the 2021 school year.
So moved.
Second. Take the vote.
Mrs. Krimpaski?
Yes.
Mr. Sherwood?
Yes.
Mrs. Mock?
Yes.
Mr. Porter? Dr. Ritchie?
14, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the revision of the following board policy, interscholastic extracurricular activities eligibility.
So moved. Second.
Take the vote.
Mrs. Krimpaski? Mrs. Mock?
Yes.
Mr. Porter? Dr. Ritchie? Mr. Sherwood?
Yes. 15, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the following list of equipment to be auctioned off as the fitness center renovation proceeds.
So moved.
Second. Take the vote.
Mrs. Mock? Mr. Sherwood?
Yes.
Mrs. Krimpaski? Mr. Porter? Dr. Ritchie?
16, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the following personnel to the local professional development committee, LPDC, for the 2019-20 school year, as per the negotiated agreement between the AEA and the Austintown Board of Education. Compensation for AEA members only will be A, the number of release day meetings in any 1 year shall not exceed 6 in number. B, attendance at any meeting scheduled for after school or in the summer shall be compensated at the district hourly teacher rate of $18.10 per hour.
So moved.
Take the vote.
Mrs. Krimpaski? Dr. Ritchie? Mrs. Mock? Mr. Porter? Mr. Sherwood?
17, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the recommendation for the following AEA personnel to serve as members of the DLT during the 2019-20 school year to be paid $18.10 per hour, limited to 9 meetings per year, maximum 3 hours per meeting. The primary function of the DLT is to focus on improving instructional practice and performance of the district by meeting regularly to review district data to evaluate student success.
Second.
Take the vote.
Dr. Ritchie? Mrs. Mock?
Yes.
Mrs. Krimpaski? Mr. Porter? Mr. Sherwood?
Yes. The next board meeting for December the 12th, it'll be tentative.
Subject to change.
Subject to change. December 12th, 2019, 4 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Take the vote.
Mrs. Mock?
Yes.
Mrs. Krimpaski? Mr. Porter? Dr. Ritchie? Mr. Sherwood?
Yes. Nobody has signed up for the public comment in section 2. Any specific comments? Motion to adjourn? Second. Take the vote.
Mrs. Mock? Mr. Sherwood? Mrs. Krimpaski? Mr. Porter? Dr. Ritchie?
In association with Austintown Local Schools and Austintown Township.